This episode is brought to you by McAtee.
Finish your fantasy lineup?
No, but I'm joining this paid group chat with insider info.
Dude, seriously? Forward it to me. Security alert from McAfee. That group's as legit as that knockoff jersey you're wearing.
McAfee's scam detector is available in all McAfee plans for as little as $39.99 for your first year. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
If Chelsea were behaving like that, the media would paint it and say, well, they're just being street smart, they're just being savvy. When Forest try those tactics, you know, we're football terrorists.
Hello and welcome to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast, and this is our festive terrorists show. We're recording on Sunday the 21st of December, and we're taking advantage of an 8-day break for the men's first team before the Fulham game, which is taking place on Monday evening. So coming up in December's Football Terrorists, we'll hear our pundits' highlights of a calendar year that's seen the Reds qualify for Europe, despite some late season wobbles. And then we also got through 3 head coaches, including one who only lasted 39 days. The less said, the better, perhaps. We'll have a quickfire round to quiz our panellists on some of the key themes of the year and the season so far. Jeremy Davis will be joining us with some festive musings in the Football Terrorist sketch. And we're going to have our Forest festive findings as we bring you a quiz of the year. I'm your host, Rich Ferraro, and I'm here with the man that I call number 2, the Maradona of the Midlands. As always, we extend a warm welcome to any new listeners and offer our thanks to both you and our long-term supporters for joining this, the original Nottingham Forest podcast, established in 2008 and a finalist in the 2025 Football Content Awards. Welcome to Football Terrorists.
Football Terrorists.
Let's welcome today's panel and we'll get straight into it. So what has been your Forest highlight of 2025? And I'm going to start with you. Hello, Steven Toplis.
Hello. Yeah, for me, it's qualifying for Europe for the first time for 30 years. It was a fantastic achievement and something that I don't think any of us saw coming at the start of last season.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's go over and say good morning to Tom Newton.
Morning. My highlights, same as Stephen's, really. Getting into Europe for the first time in 30 years. A fantastic achievement and something this generation can enjoy.
Okay. And a big welcome to you, Baz.
Hello. Slightly different, similar, obviously, but my highlight was arriving at Wembley for the FA Cup semi-final, because I've got no problem with how the season ended. We had that little bit of a slump, because it gave us much more than we ever expected. But the FA Cup semi-final was just before the season fell apart, and both the FA Cup and the Champions League were within our reach then.
Yes, it's always the hope that kills you, as they say. And of course, number 2, let's come to you. So welcome to you. And what would you like to choose as your highlight of 2025?
I think for me, it has to be beating Man City 1-0 at home in the league and the Callum Hudson-Odoi goal, because that almost clinched Champions League qualification for us on that day, and everything looked rosy, and I thought nothing could go wrong from here. but I was sadly wrong.
Wow, such is life, I suppose. Now, actually, as we've had Man City mentioned a couple of times with that FA Cup semi-final and with you, Maradona, just a quick point of discussion just before we move on with today's podcast. And Baz, I'm going to come to you on this one first of all. So we've obviously signed a couple of ex-Man City players in James McAtee and Alex Zinchenko, and they've come in for a few bits of criticism here and there, possibly with some justification. But I just want to get your thoughts first of all, Baz. My thesis is that the trouble is with those players is that because they've played for Man City and in Zinchenko's case, Arsenal, they're used to playing for teams who actually play where their effectiveness comes from slowing the game down. And that's one of the reasons why they've really struggled to adapt to playing at Forest. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Zinchenko's big problem is he can't defend, which is a problem for a left back. But actually, both of them, I thought, have shown flashes of being very, very good. But it's just, it's a getting used to us and getting a style thing together. I said the other day, the thing with McAtee is we're going to always compare him to Morgan, and he's a completely different type of player. Morgan's everywhere and run in, and even when his stuff doesn't come off, you can see him charging around the field. Whereas McAtee is going to be one of those players who sort of vanishes and then does something incredible. So he's always going to sort of fail until we get used to him and he gets used to us.
Okay, Maradona the Midlands. I'll come back to Zinchenko in a minute with you, Tom, actually. But Maradona the Midlands, when I was watching the under-21s, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking McAtee, when he's good, he's really good, but the rest of the time he vanishes. So my thesis here is that McAtee is basically a poor man's Matt Letizia.
No, I wouldn't say that. Well, I think the thing with him when he signed was... I think we mentioned it at the time, is that he's not actually played a lot of, and so he doesn't have that sort of hardiness from playing league football week in, week out at the top level. And unfortunately, since he's been here, he's not really been able to improve that. You saw it even when he came, he was doing lots of sort of charging around and trying too much, and it took a year or so for him to sort of slow down his game and improve. And until McAtee plays some actual football, and I don't know if he can do this, but bulk up a bit. I think he's a little bit too lightweight even now for the Premier League. He's always going to struggle. So it's a tricky situation, because in the heat of battle of a Premier League relegation fight, as we've found ourselves in, you can't really have any passengers, and you can't have somebody learning the game.
And also you made the point in our first season about Premier League players. They are big and they're beefy, and if we've got Amari Hutchinson and McAtee in the team at the same time, we've got two players who basically have the build of small boys.
Yeah, but Hutchinson's got that pace to sort of get him out of trouble and get away from people. McAtee relying 100% on technique and passing ability, and when it pays off, it's brilliant. But the rest of the time, he disappears, and that's something he's got to work on, because we can't have a team who has a player who can't contribute defensively. It's just the level we're at the moment. It's not like Man City, where they dominate the ball and you don't have to defend a great deal, and you've got somebody like Rodri behind you sort of sweeping up any mistakes you do make. So it's just a learning process, but I'm struggling to see how he's going to get that game time this season. So maybe later on next season, maybe he'll get some more time and it'll flourish a bit more.
Yeah. And of course, I guess it comes back down to, well, I'll come back to it in just a second, because actually there's a theme that we can talk about with both McAtee and Zinchenko. But Tom, I guess Alex Zinchenko might make the case of, although people think of him as a left back from Man City and Arsenal, actually the bulk of his strong play is always in midfield areas, and of course for his country he plays as a midfielder.
Yeah, he's a lot better in midfield. Like I says, we had Andrew Toddasov, who from Ukrainian Plus Football when we signed him, and he says just don't play him at left back. And I think that's been proven time and time again. He's not a left back, and Sergei Rebrov, the boss, the manager of the Ukraine, never puts him there because they put Matvienko there. So yeah, it's just proof that he's not a left back. And to be honest, I've been very disappointed with him because people know I've always liked Ukrainian football from Dynamo Kiev back in the 90s when they had Shevchenko and Rebrov. And when we signed him, I thought he was going to be all right, but he's been a massive disappointment. And yeah, I think we should, in next month, just say thanks and go back to Arsenal.
Stephen, just to come to you on that topic. So, two things. First thing I was going to say a minute ago, and I've actually want to come back to is that, of course, if McAtee and Zinchenko had a pre-season at Forest, and admittedly we're now on our third head coach since pre-season, but they might have had a little bit more of an idea about how to get integrated into the Forest way of playing. But then the second thing is with regards to particularly with Zinchenko, the bottom line is he's played for teams in Man City and Arsenal where being fullback, playing left back is actually an inverted midfielder role. And at Forest, actually, we play very much of the proper back four. And the times we tried to play inverted fullbacks, let's just say it's had limited success, shall we?
Yeah, for me, it's all a consequence of the squad not having enough cover. So not having a proper left back who could have slotted in when Nico Williams had to play on the right-hand side to cover Ola Aina's injury. Thankfully, Savona's come through and kind of made that place his own the last couple of months. But I would like to see Zinchenko play in the midfield. I think he's a good technician. I think in that position, we'd see a lot more from him, and he wouldn't be so reliant on his one-on-one defending. So I still think he's got a place. And with the situation with Douglas Luiz, how in and out of the team he is through injury, we might need the extra body in there. So I'd be prepared to give Zinchenko another chance.
Okay, and Maradona, I want to come back to you. Stephen's nicely segued from McAtee and Zinchenko to Dougie Luiz. My take on this, again, thinking about a thesis, which maybe relates back to the olden days. Dougie Luiz, great player, but injury prone. Is he the modern Paul McGrath? And ask your parents, kids.
Oh, gosh, well, maybe. Paul McGrath had like a chronic condition, didn't he? So which meant he couldn't actually train. He could only play football matches. But because he read the game so well, and his timing was so good, he could get away with it. I think in the hurly-burly of the Premier League these days, where the pace is so much and the physicality is so high, unless you're 100% fit, is very difficult to play. I think we could probably nurse him through training, but it sounds like he's got sort of some chronic issue as well with his hamstring, which isn't operable and isn't treatable. So it's always going to be tricky, and you just got to make the best of him while you can. While he's fit, he'll play, and you just got to accept that he can't play every game, and there'll be periods when he'll need some sort of break from the first team.
Baz, as someone else who's old enough to remember the heydays of Paul McGrath not being able to train, but just being wrapped up in cotton wool between matches and then rolled out during the games to be man of the match most weeks. Yeah, there is this rumour, isn't there, that Dougie's got some kind of chronic condition, which is why he can barely play more than 70 minutes and he can barely play more than 2 matches in a row. But we're going to need him, aren't we? Because we've got Yates out, we've got Sangare at AFCON, and we've got Nico Dominguez having to be nursed back himself from his injury problems. So what are your thoughts about Dougie Luiz?
Well, just actually going back to the earlier point, that, yeah, Zinchenko might be useful in midfield, because the problem with Dougie Luiz, what I've seen of him, he's obviously at Villa as well, he's an incredible footballer. But the difference with Paul McGrath was Paul McGrath didn't train and then would play 90 minutes, and Luiz can't. And we haven't got
different times then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Tom, what do you think about that? Maybe if we are needing to get, piece things together in midfield, could Zinchenko actually play in midfield perhaps while we're nursing Dougie Luiz and Nico Dominguez back?
I think he could, but it all depends how Zinchenko plays in terms of being disciplined. If he's just going to like bugger off and go AWOL, then he's not worth it, is he? So if he can stay disciplined and just concentrate on what he's good at, then it might be an option. But it's one of them, isn't it? You just don't know.
And Stephen, coming right back to where we started with today's podcast, where you're talking about the qualification for Europe being one of the key kind of highlights for many Forest fans, not just now, but for many people actually in their lifetimes. We're going to need all the players we've got, because the matches are still coming thick and fast, and unless something goes drastically wrong, we should be through to the next round, whether that be playing off or getting that bye through to the knockout stage.
Yeah, we've still got a lot of football to play, and we're going to need everybody available. And we've got the African Cup of Nations coming up as well, so we're losing Sangare. And all these factors come together. We need the squad to be fit and ready for all of these matches. And even though we've picked up under Sean Dyche, we're still not comfortably far enough away from the relegation zone where you can rotate a bit more and not worry too much about the players that you're using. So, yeah, I think we've got to box clever with the squad, with the recruitment over the next 4 to 6 weeks and get through this tricky period.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
At Sierra, discover joyous deals on great gifts for everyone on your list. Like cozy slippers, ski gear, fishing poles, bikes, large kayaks, even larger canoes. Whew, which might lead to another discovery. Wrapping gifts is the only sport you need to stay fit this season. 'Tis the season to discover great gifts at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
1865.
Terrorists.
It's time for a quick fire round. In a sentence or less, we want to hear our panelists' thoughts on some Forest-related topics. Rich will award points for your answers, but be warned that he will deduct points from your total if your answers are too long. So, as I can see him, I'm going to go first of all to Baz on your player of the season so far, please.
This season, everyone else is going to go for Anderson, so I'm going for Ibra.
Oh, interesting. That was quick fire. Okay, next, Tom Newton. Who's been your player of the season so far?
I'm going to go with Elliot Anderson to get into the England squad, be a regular starter. I think that's fantastic for the club, and so I'm going to go with Elliot Anderson.
Right. No, Baz was right with his prediction so far. So, Stephen, who do you reckon?
I'm going to say Igor Jesus. The way he's come in and settled into English football, he's scored some crucial goals already, and I'm sure he'll get some more crucial goals before the end of the season. I've been really impressed with him, and for, what was it, 15 million? Looks like a bit of a bargain at that price.
Yes. Okay, now the next question.
Maradona, who's yours, by the way?
Oh, my. I'll go for Nico Williams. I think he's been outstanding more or less every single game he's played. And switching over to the other side as well. He's not really affected his game.
I think it's interesting, that, isn't it? I mean, I know the format kind of suggests that we want to have a variety of answers, but we've got 4 perfectly plausible answers from 4 different people, and I'm just going to throw Murillo in there, and I'll come back to that a little bit later if I may. But anyway, back to you, Maradona.
Ooh, that reminds me, I had a dream about Murillo the other night. Ooh.
Yeah,
anyway.
Don't we all?
So this is a slightly different question. Who has been your best player of 2025 as a whole? Let's start with Tom this time.
I'm going to go with Chris Wood. Without his goals, we wouldn't have got into Europe. So Chris Wood for me.
Yes, okay. Stephen, who do you reckon?
Chris Wood as well. He's been superb.
Nice. Okay, 2 for Wood so far. And Baz?
I'm going to go with Murillo. He's just a joy to watch.
He is a joy to watch. Who shall I go for? I'll go for... It's a tricky one. I can't think now. Who plays for Forest?
While you're thinking about
I'll
it, I'm
think
going to
about
say
it. I
Nico
can't think of any Forest
Williams.
players now. Sorry, who?
I'm going to go for Nico Williams because I think he's the most improved and consistent player as time has gone on.
Okay, that's good. I'll go for Chris Wood as well. He did score. Oh no, I don't want to go for Chris Wood. I'll go for Elanga. No, but he went left, didn't he?
You're losing points because it's a quick fire round.
Oh, Lorraine. No, he's not played either, is he? Let's go for Morgan Gibbs White. Why not? Go on.
Okay, you get minus points for that because you're the one supposed to be helming the quick fire round, and you took blooming ages.
Oh, I think I've earned it. Okay. All right. Next question. This is a strange question. Best head coach of 2025.
It's the most Forest question I could think of.
Okay, we'll go Stephen first.
Oh, it's got to be Sean Dyche, hasn't it? I know Nuno achieved incredible things, but it soured with him the way that it ended and the fact he rocked up at West Ham so quickly. The one after him, I think we just avoid talking about him altogether. Sean Dyche, the man for me.
Nice. Okay, Baz, who do you reckon?
I'm going Nuno because he built the platform that Dyche is now working with. Yeah, yeah, that's what can I say? Nuno.
Yeah, Nuno. And Tomo, who do you reckon?
I would have said Nuno, but like I said, he's tarnished his reputation of his hissy fit and how he left and soon rocked up at West Ham. And the least said about Skippy, Thomas, the better. So I'll go with Sean Dyche. In the last few weeks, he's done really well in my eyes, apart from that performance against Everton. So Sean Dyche.
Nice. Okay, well, I'll give it to Ange because I don't want him to feel left out. I don't want him to feel left out. It is
Okay,
Christmas,
minus 2 there. Okay.
And the rest.
And Rich, do you have a head coach?
Yeah, I would go with Nuno. Obviously, the last quarter of the season fell away, but there was enough there that has built the foundations for Forest to be in Europe this season, and also, as a couple of others have said, to create the foundations that Deutsch Ball, which seems to be a phrase, is continuing.
Right. Now, we'll go to the head of our choir for this next question. Tom, what has been your favourite Forest song sung by the fans this season?
I won't sing it, but if you was only Utrecht and something about Thursday night and you go on YouTube, it's on there, and that's the last I'll say about it. But yeah, it's quite colourful.
Not suitable for a family show, then, Tom.
No, definitely not.
Okay, Stephen.
Arnie Slot. That's it.
Arnie Slot. Okay, and Baz.
Well, I went with Arne Slot last season, so this season I want to go with "We're Nottingham Forest, We Fancy Your Birds."
Oh, racy.
Okay. That was for Malmo.
Malmo, yes. Why
yes,
not?
Of course, steady chaps.
Steady chaps, indeed. And I'll go for the Stevie Stone one because that's the one I hear most these days, and I think it says something about the creativity of modern football fans that we haven't got a song for hardly any of our current players, but we're still bringing out Stevie Stone, He's Got No Hair song 30 years down the line, and I always used to enjoy singing that back in the day as well, so I'll go for that one. And Rich?
I'm going to go for Arne Slot.
Arne Slot, there you go. Okay, finally, this perennial old subject of the new ground plans. And let's go with Baz. I don't know, this is a bit of an odd way of phrasing it, but yay or nay?
I know a little bit, because of my work, I know a little bit about the Anfield Road stadium rebuild, so I'm saying yes.
Okay, you're cryptic there. Ooh, what inside knowledge does he know?
Yeah, the company that did the work used our software, so I got a bit of an inside peek on how they did it.
Software, that's something to do with computers for those who don't know out there. Okay, and Tom, what do you reckon?
Oh, definitely, yay. It's got to be done. It'd be 7 years in February when it first was announced that they wanted to redevelop the city ground. It's been going on too long. Need to get rid of all the red tape and all the councillors saying no and just get it done now, because it's, like it says, it's hampering our progress off the field.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steven?
Definitely a for me. It looks spectacular and it's long overdue. Let's just get it started and get the ground into shape.
Okay, I think we'd all agree that we would like some sort of redevelopment to occur. Whether it happens or not in our lifetimes, I don't know. But Rich, have you got any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, like it or not, unless we still want to be talking about this in 2035, I think it's going to have to be a new ground rather than trying to build a bigger ground on the footprint of what we've got. As I say, I'm not sure whether I like that idea or not, but I have a feeling that that would be the only way to actually make it achievable, and it wouldn't be popular, but it might be the best way to expand the ability to host big games with big crowds.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
There's a reason Chevy trucks are known for their dependability, because they show up no matter the weather, push forward no matter the terrain, and deliver. That's why Chevrolet has earned more dependability awards for trucks than any other brand in 2025, according to J.D. Power. Because in every Chevy truck, like every Chevy driver, dependability comes standard. Visit Chevy.com to learn more. Chevrolet received the highest total number of awards among all the trucks in the J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study. Awards based on 2022 models. Newer models may be shown. Visit jdpower.com/awards for more details. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1865.
Terrorists.
I believe it's time to award the points, don't you think, Maradona?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so Maradona, I'm afraid to say you're in last place and you're on -2, which is a football terrorists first.
Good.
Stephen,
like the
you're
wolves of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could win every game between now and the end of the season. He'd still be going down.
That's a low blow.
Yeah. Well, you put yourself in that position, I'm afraid. In third place is Mr. Steven Toplis on 5 points. In second place is Baz on 6 points. And leading the way at this stage is Tom with 7 points. And we will have an opportunity for our panelists to earn more points in part 2 of today's podcast when we have our Christmas quiz. So thank you very much to all of our panelists and to Maradona for his expert hosting skills. They're obviously more expert than mine. There'll be more of that in part 2 of the podcast. Just before we finish up for part 1, just a quick one. A couple of quick ones, actually. So I'm going to start with you, Maradona. I'd like your opinion on this. When we lost to Everton a couple of weeks ago, social media was full of people saying, oh yeah, the club are terrible with recruitment, and Sean Dyche, he's a dinosaur. He's a dinosaur. What do you think of that?
Well, thankfully, I'm not on social media, so I didn't get caught up in all that. But I do catch the vibes when this happens, and it only ever takes 1 or 2 defeats, and people start to catastrophize, and it's the end of the world, and everything's wrong. Nobody seem to take the opinion these days that there's 2 teams, one's got to win, one's got to lose, and sometimes they draw. And it doesn't mean everything's wrong if you lose a game. It doesn't mean everything's right if you win a game. I think people just need to calm down a lot of the time and just relax and maybe do a bit of gardening or something a bit more.
Some yoga.
Mindful and just not. No, don't. It's supposed to be something we do for fun, for enjoyment. Don't let it wind you up too much. It's only football. It's not real life. So don't worry about it too much.
Tom, it is an expensive way to enjoy yourself, and you did something which you don't usually do at the Everton match, which is you left a little bit early. Now, we're not going to go into the controversy on social media about, we've discussed this in previous podcasts about whether people should or shouldn't leave early. Let's just say that people have their own choice. But it's unusual for you to do so. But equally, I'm old enough and you're old enough and your parents used to go and watch Forest way back when as well, that sometimes you just accept where you can't win them all, and sometimes you'll have an absolute stinker and get completely battered by a team that you'd want to beat. So it's just the way it goes, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, it's like everyday life. At work, you might have a stinker of a day and you just want to get home. But yeah, regarding the Everton game, was like 3-0 down, 10 minutes to go. It's not the easiest ground to get to. So just leave. We did, and we got home probably about, I don't know, 3/4 of an hour. Well, no, 3/4 of an hour quicker than we would do if we stayed until the last minute. So,
Baz, I'm just going to come to you quickly on a slightly different topic. So you're going to really like this, and Maradona, you might as well, bearing in mind that we are probably the Murillo fan club of this podcast. So there was a comment which was read out on the Totally Football Show by a YouTube user called Murillo Shorts. And this was, to quote, Murillo has the body of Tyson and the feet of Travolta. So, Baz, I just want your thoughts on that.
It's true, isn't it? I just can't. A couple of seasons ago, Chelsea played ours towards the end of the season. That seems to happen every year, doesn't it? And I can remember watching Cole Palmer and thinking, whenever he gets the ball, it's like time slows down and he can pick out his pass. And then last season, I was thinking back going, who's the player that's impressed me most this season? And it's just Murillo. He's not only is he a great footballer that can do stuff that you love to see, but he's also so humble and he comes across as such a nice guy. You watch his Mrs. TikToks whenever he's on that, and he just comes across as like a beautiful person. So I love him.
Yeah, and Maradona, actually, because a friend of ours who we shall not name because he likes his privacy and he doesn't do social media, but he was saying about how much he loves Murillo, and then he was, when we pointed out to him that Murillo and Mrs. Murillo post loads of wholesome content about their life as a family with their baby and everything on social media, he was just like, oh my God, it's amazing. And this is like from a 46-year-old man. There's just something about the guy, isn't there?
Well, yeah, I mean, if he wasn't a good player, I don't think we'd be evangelizing about him quite so much. But I think the fact that he's so important to the way we play. He links defence to attack. He just brings that calm assuredness to the defence. He's like that insurance policy that when he's around, because he's so big and he's so good, you just sort of feel better about yourself and the Forest prospects of winning. But
just about life.
Yeah, and he does seem like a nice guy as well, and he's got that nice big smiley face, and so yeah, there's what's not to love about him.
And Stephen, I'm just going to come to you for the final word on Murillo, which is just that, as Maradona said, actually, and I'm going to put forward a hypothesis here. I think that Murillo is actually the single most important player in the Forest team, because as we saw when he was not there, we couldn't keep a clean sheet. We had no link between defence and midfield, so the transitions through the team were damaged. And also, Milenkovic looked troubled, and because there were gaps between the lines, and Milenkovic couldn't cover those defensively, and he couldn't bridge those in an attacking sense. So for me, Murillo's the single most important player to the way that Forest play. What do you think, Stephen?
It's hard to disagree with that, because whenever he's in the team, he just makes us look so much better, both defensively, but like you say, bringing the ball forward into midfield, and just his character and his demeanour on the pitch as well. He seems to breed confidence in everybody else around him, and on top of that, his defending is so good. The last ditch blocks on the line and his positioning, all those kind of things are just so good that he does. And I don't want to finish this on a downer, but I'd be quite worried about the day that we lose him, because he just seems so difficult to replace.
Baz, you say you want to just come in on that. Go on.
One, we're not going to lose him unless we get £100 million, because that's the minimum he's worth. And two, I think Jay Cunha is ready to step into that role if we do lose him.
And on that bombshell, we're going to say it's the end of part 1 of this podcast. So we'll have part 2 coming to you very, very soon. In the meantime, please don't forget that there's plenty to plunder in our archives. This season alone, we've brought you reports on every single first team match, updates on the women's team, news reports in our weekly show Yatesy's Espresso Bar, and interviews with Forest legends Brian Roy, Steve Chettle, Nigel Clough, and more. And as if that wasn't enough, soon enough, we'll be bringing you a retrospective on Forest's UEFA Cup adventure from 30 years ago, which follows the review of our third place finish under Frank Clark, which we produced at the start of the year. Still to come in part 2 of Football Terrorists, we will bring you Jeremy's Christmas sketch and our Forest festive quiz. Don't forget to join us for our report on the Fulham match, which we'll bring to you on Tuesday. Come on, you Reds!
You've been listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast. Follow us on X, Insta, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky, and listen via Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. All the links are available at 1865.football.
The result is that at the end of the day, we always win.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
The Uniswap wallet makes it easier and safer to own and use crypto. Created by pioneers of the crypto economy, the Uniswap protocol has powered over $3 trillion in trading volume, and it's trusted by tens of millions worldwide. With the Uniswap wallet, you can discover, swap, and manage your crypto all from your phone. Buy your first crypto assets in just a few taps, and start exploring the freedom of decentralized finance with Uniswap. Tap the banner to get started.